Did you just hear about low carb and fasting? Are you very excited to start it? However, did you experience keto rash, keto flu, itching in your body the moment you started doing it? And after that, you felt discouraged and decided to quit your low carb and fasting journey. Now, today we will discuss keto rash, keto flu, and how to possibly avoid it. This is your diet doctora, Dr. Josephine Grace Rohotan, and that's our short topic for today. Why does this happen? This is because your body is actually producing more ketones when you are on fat burning state. Your body tends to burn those fats and convert them into energy. And the energy counterpart of fats, when they are broken down, are actually keto acids, so also known as ketones. So the moment you produce ketones, that is actually good, especially if it's therapeutic ketosis. There's lowered blood sugar because you lowered your carbohydrate intake, and there's increase in your ketones in the body. So that is what we call as therapeutic ketosis. That is different from ketoacidosis, wherein there's elevated ketones and elevated blood sugar as well. So therapeutic ketosis is okay. It's just that if you are still starting and you are producing way too much ketones than your body can still accommodate, it can lead into these side effects that are temporary, not dangerous, but they can be a little disturbing. So, keto rash, you will have some rashes that you can find. It's like chicken skin on your skin. It's going to be very itchy. There's also keto flu that looks like or seems like real flu, but it is just related to too much ketone productions that can actually just be avoided. It might be that you were doing it not the best way. Maybe you dive into keto right away, not the low carb that we are recommending. What is low carb? What is keto diet? Low carb is lowering your carbohydrate intake up to 50 grams of carbohydrate in a day. However, it is more on proteins and not more on fats, whereas keto diet is also low carb but more strict low carb. The total carbohydrate in a day is just up to 20 grams in a day, and the majority of calories will come from fatty foods, which will comprise 60 to 75% of your overall calories. So, if you are still not fat adapted, meaning your body is already producing way too much ketones than your muscles, than your brain, and your organs can accommodate, those extra ketones might actually be released in your urine, producing ketones in urine, in your breath, causing acetone breath, and it can also appear in your sweat glands, and it can be very itchy since there is histamine hypersensitivity for some people with elevated ketones in their body not yet being utilized by their system, and it can lead into keto rash, and that can be very itchy. So how to avoid it? We have 5 strategies that we can do to avoid keto rash. So the first thing that you can do is actually do not eat too much fats, especially if your body still has its own fats to lose. So, when we do low carb, as much as we are not afraid of fats, we actually don't want to keep on consuming fats to be used as energy when we still have our own fats that we can burn. If you still have belly fats, extra arm fats, extra fatty liver, so all of those extra fats in your system, you can still use as energy. And if you will focus more on eating proteins, then your body will be able to transition more slowly, better from a high carb, from glucose fueling source into a low carb nutrition where there is metabolic flexibility. It's not just fueling on ketones alone, but low carb nutrition will allow you to be metabolically flexible. You can use glucose and you can use ketones, whatever is available, easily shifting without glucose spike to avoid insulin rush and also to improve our insulin sensitivity. So one thing that you can do would be eat more proteins. As you lower your carbohydrates, you increase more on your proteins and not really on keto level of fats, especially again if you still have fats to lose. There's only just one caveat when it comes to eating proteins. Certain people are sensitive to certain proteins. They have inherent hypersensitivity. The most common ones we notice would be hypersensitivity to nuts and seeds and also to poultry products. So if you think you are sensitive to it, you can just try to avoid nuts and seeds as you start doing low carb, and also avoid poultry products, chicken and eggs. And good thing though, I haven't heard anyone who's allergic to pork and beef and fish. Maybe some crustaceans, yes, some shrimp, but generally fresh fish, fresh seafoods, and red meat like beef and pork, those are your safer options when it comes to your increasing protein intake as you start your low carb journey. Number two, wear lighter clothes. So you wear lighter clothes because if you wear very heavy clothes, it will make you produce more sweat, and that can exacerbate more ketone production and more keto rash, and that can be very, very itchy. So you can consider it as prickly heat. So the more you are in humid places, the more you are in a very humid temperature, the more you should wear lighter clothes to avoid production of too much sweat and actually increasing your ketones production, as well as these heat can increase your metabolism. And of course, we want to increase our metabolism, but only when your body can already tolerate those surge of ketones, when you are already what we call as fat adapted, meaning all the fats that you're burning, your body can generally already produce. And one thing also, even if you will be on low carb for so long, you're already fat adapted, there will still be those kind of ketones that will be a waste. So it is a possibility that even if you are already in low carb and fasting for so long, your urinalysis will still have that plus one or plus two ketone. It shouldn't cause you to worry. It's okay. It's normal to have those extra waste product of ketones no longer utilized by our body, but it shouldn't have that symptoms that can be very disturbing, which would be the keto rash that's very itchy, and keto flu that can make you not very productive in a day. So the third strategy that we can do would be take a pause on exercise. If you've been exercising for so long, but you just started doing low carb and fasting recently, I suggest you take a pause on exercise for at least 1 to 2 weeks, just until your muscles can now try to learn and try to accept ketones as a new source of energy, because it might take a while for certain muscle groups to accommodate ketones as a source of energy, especially the fast twitch muscles. They are dependent on glucose. So it might take a while for your muscles and your other organ systems to adapt into ketones as a primary source of energy. So that's why you have to move in slowly as you transition in low carb and fasting lifestyle. You will know that you are ready when you already feel that you have that surge of energy coming in and you just want to spend it. It will really force you to move. And when you do that, at least do it maybe in a way that is not going to induce a lot of sweat. So maybe you can do some swimming, or you can exercise in a gym where it is well ventilated. And again, as our previous tip, wear lighter clothes and try to wipe your sweat as they come. So those are the things that you can do. And number four strategy is avoiding over fasting, especially when you are still starting on your first 2 weeks of doing low carb and fasting nutrition. At least 12 hours of circadian fasting, that is circadian fasting, eating when there is little sun, or if you are on a graveyard shift or irregular work schedule, then you can just do your circadian fasting by eating your last meal about 4 to 6 hours before your intended bedtime. So avoid over fasting. You don't need to do OMAD right away or one meal a day. You don't even need to do TMAD right away or 2 meals a day. You can still have your 3 to 4 meals a day as long as it's low carb food item. Don't do over fasting when you are still starting. And of course, as our fifth and last tip on how to avoid keto rash and keto flu is just very, very simple. but very, very important. And that is by ensuring that you are taking in the right amount of electrolytes that you need. There are many electrolytes that we need. We have sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and many others, but the most important would be salt. Just simple, very cheap, almost free sodium chloride in the form of salt. When you are still starting, I suggest you increase your salt intake from 1 to 3 teaspoons. And of course, just take note if you are sensitive to salt, like if there's edema in your legs or you have puffy eyes, you can take in so much salt, or there's also elevation of your blood pressure as you increase your salt, then maybe you are sensitive to salt. So just move in slowly as well. Just take note, it's just actually less than 20% of the populations that are sensitive to salt. So generally, majority of us are actually in need of more salt than what we are used into consuming. So increase your salt. The moment you lock in your electrolytes with salt, it is less likely that you might need supplementation from those other electrolytes. So those are the 5 simple strategies that you can use in order to avoid keto rash and keto flu as you enjoy your healing journey through low carb nutrition and fasting. So again, moving back to our 5 tips that you can do. You can increase more on your proteins and not on fats, especially if you still have fats to lose. Wear lighter clothes when you do. Also, especially when you do your exercise, and you can even put a pause on your exercise or choose exercise that will not make you sweat a lot. And avoid over fasting while you are still starting with low carb and fasting nutrition. And lastly, make sure that you have ample amount of electrolytes and you need. So everything that you need are just in our safe list of hashtag JGC Raw Food List, for which you can download from our website at www.jgrtanmd.com. Right now, we have a structured learning program also called as LCF Masterclass by yours truly, and it is where you can learn the structured learning program on how to manage diabetes, hypertension, fatty liver, obesity, and so many others using low carb nutrition and fasting as a dietary adjunct or medical nutrition therapy for these diseases at www.lcfmasterclass.com. It is still in Filipino, but soon we will launch it in international English version. So stay tuned. So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you get a little something today from this short video. This is your Diet Doctora, Dr. Josephine Grace Rahatan, and always remember to stay low carb so that we all stay safe. Bye!